Today we're going to look at the last sort of component that goes inside of a sentence first, basic sentence part. Okay. So as we do that, I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about why are prepositions important? Okay. Now typically, when we ask this question, we have to figure out what prepositions are first and do a little review. So I have a story for you that will help you review what prepositions are. Let's start with this little boy who went to his mother and asked, "Mother, what is a preposition?" She said, "Oh, it's better if I show you rather than explain it to you." So she walked him down to the park. When he got to the park, she saw a couple of trees. Next to those trees was a river. Between the trees and the river, the little boy saw a squirrel running back and forth. The mother said to him, "That is a preposition." So anywhere a squirrel can go in relation to a tree and a river is a preposition. Right? We know a squirrel can go up a tree, a squirrel can go around a tree, a squirrel can go through the river, it can go over the tree, it can go between. So all those are key preposition words. And the actual definition that you should write in your grammar notes is a word used to relate a noun or pronoun to another word in a sentence. A relationship is the key. Preposition needs to show a relationship, and you can actually see that in the name. Right? We have position in here, okay? And that kind of gives us a clue as what it does. So preposition. So it's going to give us the position of relationship. So going back to the original question, so before we do that, let's look at prepositional phrases, right? Because every preposition is going to have a prepositional phrase. Okay, so prepositions always set a phrase called a prepositional phrase, in which the object, noun or pronoun, is being related. Now, they have already seen objects. Right? Last week we had direct objects and indirect objects. Okay? So that isn't a new term to us. Right? We know the object has to be a noun or a pronoun. The only difference with this object from the other types of objects is that it will follow a preposition instead of a verb. So it follows the preposition, it will be the object of the preposition. An example. We have our sentence, you probably recognize it. Over the river and through the woods, to grandmother's house we go. So I'm looking for words that show where a squirrel can go in relation to a tree and a river. And I notice the first one I see is over. So over is a preposition. If I'm looking for the object of the preposition, I'm going to look for that first noun that follows the preposition. And that's river. So notice my prepositional phrase, the phrase itself is over the river, which makes river my object of the preposition, or what we label as the OP. I continue to scan my sentence. I'm going to look for where the relationship is. We are, I see, going over the river. Okay, so this is a relationship to go. It tells me where. Scanning again, I see another preposition. I know a squirrel can go through a river. So through is a preposition, which means that I have to look for the first noun. I see wood. So my whole phrase is, that becomes my actual preposition. My whole phrase is through the woods. And that is also the relationship of direction. And it shows where we go. And the last one, I see two. A squirrel can go to a tree, so it must be a preposition. Now be careful with this, because you can see, we know that grandmother is a noun, but because it's showing whose house, we have to go with house. So the actual object of preposition in this phrase is house. And again, giving a relationship of direction. So back to our original question. Why are prepositions important? 1. They make our writing clearer. They help the reader understand relationships of time, location, and direction. So without them, we wouldn't be able to clarify our meaning as far as where things are located, or the direction, around the corner, or even time. About 1 o'clock. About is a preposition. They also helps add description to the writing. Okay. They give us a little bit more detail in our sentence so that the reader has a better picture in the mind when you're writing. Alright, so the big thing, identifying the prepositional phrases. When you see an assignment or you see your bell work, to identify a prepositional phrase, just follow these steps. The first step, you need to locate the preposition. Okay? Well, I know that in is a preposition because the squirrel can go in a tree, the squirrel can go in a river. So in is a preposition, so that will be 1. Now, I'm going to let you know about this one here, of. It doesn't fit our nice little squirrel pattern, but just know of is always a preposition. That won't change. So we see Elizabeth lies in bed dreaming of her future. Okay. So we have in showing the location of where she is lying. Right? She's lying in bed. That's the location. So I have that. Step 2, I'm going to draw a parentheses around the actual prepositional phrase. Okay. So there's my parentheses around in bed, because I need to stop at that noun. And again, of her future. I know the of is a preposition, so future being that noun, I'm going to end my prepositional phrase there. Step 3, I'm going to label the preposition P for preposition and its object OP for object of the preposition. So you can see a P needs to go above N, and an OP would need to then go above bed. Same in the second one. A P needs to go above of, and a P needs to go above future. Okay. Now here's our positive preposition. You can see we have a list of them. Sometimes prepositions are incorrectly used as verbs. People say I should have, or I'm gonna have. Prepositions are not actions, they cannot be verbs. So instead of I should have, we should say I should have. So that's something to look out for in your writing. The second biggest problem. Sometimes singular prepositions are used instead of a compound. that original sentence, she turned into the driveway, makes it sound like she transformed into a driveway instead of moving her car into a driveway. So we need to have it split. She turned in to the driveway. Or the vice versa, right? If a compound is used instead of a singular. He walked up on a frog. Well, that would give the reader the visual that this person is actually walking up a frog. So we need to show that he came across the frog while he was walking. So he walked upon a frog. So notice it is important to make sure the preposition is used as intended. You don't want to put in a preposition that doesn't make sense with the rest of the sentence, or even maybe some of the ideas before that. Okay, so that is the practice that we're actually going to work on this week, is identifying prepositions and making sure that they are used as intended.